Alrighty, Lee Cole here. Thank you so much for attending this webinar, 2018 Income Breakout. And I really mean this. Let's get rid of what's holding you back. I'm going to talk about a few things that I notice with people that I noticed myself and, stuff that held me back, perhaps stuff that still holds me back. I mean, moving forward into the direction that we want to go is not easy, because otherwise everybody would do it. Can we agree with that? I mean, can we agree that if the life that you wanted were easy, then you would already be there? And you may already be there, and that's cool. And if you're already there, why in God's name are you spending time with me instead of hanging out on the beach? But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's confusing. There are lots of moving parts, et cetera, et cetera. I wish I were hanging out on the beach too, Janice. But anyway, let's do this thing. And again, thank you for attending. I think this is going to be an exciting webinar. Of course, I'm kind of like a success nerd. And I really mean the success is much, much closer than you think. It's really a couple of tweaks and some growing pains and remarkable things will happen. And again, I'm basing this, as Matthew says, success is just a few inches away, right inside our heads. Maybe even millimeters, or how about just a couple of neurons over, right? But I base this stuff on my own life, my own trajectory, and I base it on a lot of coaching that I do. And I see the same problems with other people that I see with myself and saw with myself. So, in other words, it's just human nature. So it's repeatable and fixable. So this is what we're going to cover in detail. If you got any questions or anything, just shoot. I mean, this is kind of a free-flowing webinar. It's not really locked down, not any Q&A at the end, unless you have some questions, and then I'm happy to answer those. But if you have a comment, a question, et cetera, go for it. The only skill that, in my opinion, you must have to succeed. Now, I'm not talking about succeeding in your marriage or succeeding in your health or stuff like that. Those things are super important. They're actually more important than succeeding with money. But I'm talking about succeeding in your offline business or in your consulting business. Rafal, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I apologize if I'm not. I'm going to read your comment because it's like you took this right out of the playbook for today's webinar. I need to overcome the fear of selling. This shit has been holding me back for so long. Amen to that. And you're not the only person. Everybody has to overcome that fear. And we're going to talk about that. How your comfort zone is not your friend, which it's really not. It's more like, I don't know. It's more like a nice bottle of Jack Daniels if you're an alcoholic, which I'm not, but you know, the relationship between an alcoholic and a nice bottle of Jack Daniels is pretty much the same as the relationship between you and your comfort zone. And how I broke free and built a dream business. So in other words, I'm bringing this all into my own personal story. And again, comments, questions, this is all great. Let's talk about each of these in turn. The only skill that you must have to succeed is, drumroll please, and we're talking about, you know, this is in the context of these internet businesses, these what we call offline businesses, consulting businesses, the kinds of things that you guys are generally interested in. And this is my, all of that stuff is great, guys. This is my take on it. You know, it's not like there's one right answer. Making the selling process easy and not hard. Okay, I'm going to talk about that a fair amount. Making the selling process easy and not hard. And Rafal just said it. Rafal, I'm going to repeat your comment there. I need to overcome the fear of selling. This shit has been holding me back for so long. Rafal, do me a favor. Tell me why you fear selling. I mean, just briefly write it in the chat for us, because I think that would be really, really instructive for people. Because what I see is, no, selling consulting services, selling offline stuff, selling anything really is not that difficult. What makes it difficult is, one, you have a warped view of what selling is. I'm sorry, but you do. And two, you're trying to sell to the wrong market, right? You're trying to basically take a square peg and jam it into a round hole. And when you're trying to walk up a down escalator, how many more stupid metaphors or how many more stupid, metaphors can I come up with? I can come up with little analogies all day long for this. There's frustration, you're swimming upstream, blah, blah, blah. It just helps so much. Well, there's that, Karen. We'll talk about that. It just helps so much when you're trying to sell something to somebody who actually wants to buy it. Let me ask you this. Would this be hard to sell? I don't know. You're at a, great idea, because they just built a new baseball stadium here in Atlanta. So you're at the baseball stadium here in the south of the United States, where it's amazingly hot. It's let's say you're there on July the 4th, okay? And why July the 4th? I don't know. It's just really hot around July the 4th. And you got like 70,000 people in a stadium, right? And your goal is to sell water. Okay, I mean, what nice water in bottles and all that stuff. Your goal is to sell water. Is that going to be difficult? Yeah, I mean, look, you just get that little tray that those guys at the ball stadium have in front of them. I don't know if they do this in Europe, if they have people wandering around the stadium selling stuff. This is the way it works in the United States. But you got those, guys with, they've got that tray full of nice, I know Matthew says, no, we have to serve ourselves. You've got that tray full of nice, frosty looking water, with little drips of cold water sweat, dripping off of it. It looks so enticing. You're hot as Hades. And I mean, yeah, I mean that guy's going to sell out of his water and just bam, just like that. Why? Because he's selling to a thirsty crowd. Okay. And, I didn't come up with this idea. I read it in a book by Mark Joyner many, 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 many years ago. And it has informed everything that I've done in business. All right. So how does that translate into what you're doing? Yes, Matthew, it was The Irresistible Offer, which is one of the most important books I've ever read. And we'll talk about that, Janice. So basically, if you have a matchup, I mean, just kind of like calm down, come down to earth, and think of the moving parts here when something is sold. By the way, this is why the Soviet Union screwed up their economy. Well, what I'm explaining to you. But just think about all the moving parts. When something is sold, then when something transfers from one owner to another owner and money goes the other way. So the person buying it has to have a need of some sort. And, need does not mean that you're sitting there bleeding to death and you need somebody to apply a tourniquet to your leg immediately or you're going to die in the next minute. Yeah, that's a need. But need could also mean that you like to chew chewing gum and you don't currently have any chewing gum. All right, you just kind of like the process of chewing gum. You want to freshen your breath, or you just need something to do with your mouth besides talk. So there's a need, right? Excuse me for being a little, I got a little bit of a cough today. I apologize. So there's a need. And then there's the thing that's going to fit the need, right? But I want you to think about this a little more. There are two groups of people involved, or two, forget how big a group is, okay? But there are two groups of people. One of these groups we call a market. Those are the people who are going to buy the stuff. So there's one group of people, all these people with a real need, And then there's another group of people, the vendors, all these people who have something that the people with the need will buy. And if you can get those two things together, it's pretty easy. And selling water is not a trivial example. I'm sitting in the city where this is the world headquarters of Coca-Cola. And yes, Coca-Cola itself is not water, but Coca-Cola owns a ginormous water franchise. Dasani, I think, is the name of it. Plus lots of flavored waters and things like that. In other words, people have built billion-dollar companies. I have no idea what Coca-Cola would sell for. It's one of the largest companies in the world. People built billion-dollar companies based on selling drinks. Drinks that aren't addictive, like alcohol. I mean, alcohol is a little different because you got a bunch of addicts. Well, yeah, you got a bunch of people drinking, but I mean, you got this core of people who really need to continue, you know, feeding that edge. But I'm talking about products that aren't addictive. Okay, like water, like soft drinks and stuff like that. Although you could argue that soft drinks are a little addictive. But anyway, I think you get the idea. If you can put these two together, selling is not that hard at all. And so what makes so let's bring it down to you. How can you make the process of selling easy and not hard? Because going back to Rafal's comment, which is they're leery of the selling process, worried about it, fearful of it. Well, Rafal, I mean, if you had the job of selling the water in the stadium, and you had that little thing that, and I mean, in the United States, you know, I've even forgotten what these guys are called, but you have this little thing you carry around. It's like a bucket-like thing, and it hangs from your neck, and it's got a bunch of water in it, or a bunch of popcorn, or whatever else is in there. And you just wander around and you sell it, and then you get the money, and then you go back and get some more and sell it. Okay. So Rafal, do you think you could do that? I mean, if some guy was out in the middle of the stadium and you yelled out water, ice cold water, and some guy raised his hand and you took, I mean, here in Atlanta, they'll just throw it to you, right? You just took and tossed it over to him, and it's going to cost an arm and a leg, by the way. It's probably going to cost $5. And the guy, you know, the guy takes a $5 bill and it gets passed back to you. You could do that, couldn't you, Rafal? I mean, anybody could do that. I mean, a dead dog almost could do that. But that is selling. That's selling when the vendors and the people buying the stuff, the market, are matched up, when the business has found the thirsty market, right? And so also, you know, a lot of selling is really just, Kip. The key is putting your product and service in front of those that are ready, willing, and actually looking for it. Yeah. And yes, Kip, the key is finding out who those people are. So market research, finding out who those people are. And another key here is, I'm sure I've got some other bullet points. I'm just off on a tangent here. I mean, it's good stuff. But another key is, let's go to the bullet points. Yeah. So doing better market research to find what I call the choir. Okay. The choir, like in a church. I mean, those are your stalwarts, right? Those are the people who go to church all the time. They're in church all the time. So if you wanted to, you know, sell some churchy kind of thing, right? I mean, the choir would be a great place to start. They probably would all buy it, right? So doing better market research to find the choir. Let's talk about this one in a second. Avoiding quote unquote selling, which boils down to not screwing up the sale. But in terms of doing better market research to find the choir, when it comes to offline stuff, a lot of that boils down to selling stuff that people, i.e., look, it is people who buy stuff ultimately, right? I mean, even if you sold jet engines to Boeing, it's going to be a person or some group of people who are making that decision to spend several $1,000,000 and buy your jet engines. Okay? So, um, when you know when you're selling stuff to people, you need to be able you need to be doing a couple of things. You need to be selling them something that they already know and understand and want to buy. Now think about that. And this was really hit home for me years and years ago. It was a very long-standing client that I had, a real estate company here in Atlanta. They were both a sales company and a property management company. And I had gotten all excited about text message marketing. And I was really sure everybody would just fall all over themselves to buy text message marketing kind of stuff. And any of you who have been kicking around this world, remember that kind of, we went through a text message marketing is cool, the next cool thing kind of thing. Kind of like QR codes were the next cool thing kind of thing. And, so I bought this software and I was already, ready. And so I mean, these are some of my best clients at the time. So, I mean, they were paying me several $1,000s a month just to do stuff, right? And so I go to them and say, man, I've got all the other problems solved. Look at this. This is so cool. This is gonna, just explode your business, right? And I demonstrated it for them. It was a husband and wife who owned the business, super successful entrepreneurs. And the wife looks at me and says, that might be one of the last things that we would want to do. I'm like, I wish you could see me. I'm like, my hand is way in there. I'm like, way up here. Oh yeah, this is so wonderful. And then, suddenly like a lead balloon, I was dropped down to earth. Bomb, And I said, why? And she said, it's just going to piss off everybody. Well, I had enough sense, honestly, to understand that they knew more about their business than I did. But it really, really brought home the fact that, and I sold some text message marketing stuff to people, but it never really took off. But it really brought home to me the fact that people have to already want something. Now that's kind of a slippery idea, but people have to generally already want something before you're going to sell it to them. So they didn't want a more intrusive way of getting in front of people who were perhaps interested in either buying one of their properties or they did a lot of property management for landlords. But they didn't want a more intrusive way of getting in front of that market. I mean, that was going to screw things up for them, right? And so I was trying to sell something that the market did not really want to buy. Well, this kind of puts you in an odd situation because you're selling technology fundamentally. And technology is kind of like from the get-go, it's a little cutting edge, right? So you're going to have to be really careful about what you sell. I have no idea what that is. Hang on. You're going to have to be really careful about what you sell. And I noticed over the course of years of being in this business that people buy the same stuff nowadays that they bought 5 years ago, which is why I created my new product, Local Business Client Machine. Because when I kicked back and looked at it, I thought, well, I mean, people buying the same stuff they bought 5 years ago, which really makes sense because look at it like this. Unless you live in a highly, highly populous country, a lot of people per square mile, and you have excellent public transportation. So I'm looking at this from an American point of view, okay? Not so many people per square mile generally, unless you're in New York or somewhere. And unless you're in New York or somewhere, not hardly any public transportation. Most people need cars, okay? Well, my grandfather bought cars, my dad bought cars, I buy cars, and my son just bought a car. 4 generations in my family bought cars. Nobody's invented something, I mean, yeah, they look a little different. They work better. They use less gas, but nobody's invented something massively different from that. So businesses need websites. They need to look current. They need to look fresh. Businesses need websites today. They need websites a year ago. They need websites 4 years ago. They needed websites, a few of them needed websites back in 1999. So somebody asked about the word the choir. And I'm not really sure what that question meant, but the already converted, okay, the people, the true believers, the people who are just whatever the Kool-Aid is, the people who are just sucking up Kool-Aid just like it's, like it's, going out of style. The people who absolutely have bought into whatever, right? That's who you want to sell to. So you want to go find a business owner who deeply needs a website and sell them a website because their website looks like crap and is not working for them, right? So this is interesting because a lot of people screw up this offline thing because you're trying to sell stuff that is literally over the heads, just like your words, your marketing message is just flying right over the head of the person that it's aimed at. They have no ability. They have no ability to even understand. I mean, they're running a hair salon. They're running a few like independent auto body shops. They're running a string of other business, a string of restaurants or whatever. And what you're selling, they're experts in what they do. That's how they stayed in business. Staying in business is not easy, by the way. Okay, so if they've been in business for a few years, you can pretty well be guaranteed that they're an expert. So they know all about that stuff, but they're not hip to all this stuff that we're hip to. I just named two things that came into fashion and went out of fashion. Text message marketing and QR codes. They're not hip to that. And they're not hip to whatever the thing is now. Whatever the deal is now. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be hip to it, because when you get a client and you sell them something kind of like a little boring, see, the stuff I sell is very boring. When you sell them something a little boring and you see they have a real need for something, would be a good example. A couple of guys sold some stuff about SSL certificates, the difference between HTTPS and HTTP, the difference between it's not really security. It's just basically just a way to pay your hosting company more money. But there is a little bit of a security issue going on there, and I'm not going to explain that. But if you're talking to a bunch of people who are hip to that and want to buy that, yeah, that's a great thing to sell. And I think it's extremely important for you as service providers to have these things in your toolbox, but they're not necessarily, I'm talking about the things that are a little more current and hip, but they're not necessarily the things you're going to build a business out of. I mean, it's fine to go to a client and say, hey, do you see how your website says http://www. blah, 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 instead of https:// blah, 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 blah. Well, you got this problem with it. And let me explain it to you. And your client's going to like get all glossed over, like when your doctor tries to explain something fairly meaningless to you and highly technical. And you just say, look, just tell me, how many times do I take the medicine? Do I take it with food or without food? I'm good to go. Right. I mean, that's why we pay experts, is so we don't have to become experts. Right. So doing that. Okay. I mean, selling stuff that's hip, that's current, that's important, very, very important to do, but not necessarily how you're going to build a business, because you're going to build a business out of, think about it. You're going to build a business out of the things that people already know and want. So your clients are already sitting there thinking, hey, we had this website built 7 years ago. I mean, it looks kind of like crap compared to our competitors. And then you walk in and you say, look at these 4 websites that we built recently for some of our clients. Would you like one of these? And bam, you have a sale. That's a several $1,000 sale, by the way, right? Other stuff that makes total sense. And this is why I tend to focus on these 4 things that I talked about: bread and butter, Meat and potatoes. Exactly. Exactly. The simple stuff. And when you do this, that's why I personally tend to focus on just a few things. My core four, which is websites, press releases, helping people with email marketing. Everybody understands email, and Google My Business, because everybody they may not understand Google, but they know about Google, right? So that when you talk to someone, when you're looking at them and talking to them, and you're on the phone, you're on Skype, you're screen sharing, you're communicating, because they don't need to think, well, what in the hell is this person telling me? They don't need to go through that stuff. They already know what you're telling them. You're just putting it together into, you've got a problem. I can fix it for you, right? So it's like you were walking up a down escalator, and then suddenly you had the bright idea. You said, well, wait a minute. Why don't I just turn around and walk down the down escalator? Bet you $1 I'd go twice as fast. Yeah, you will go twice as fast. And this is avoiding what I call selling. All right, selling is all of this manipulative, pushy stuff, which, unless you are remarkably gifted and also the stars are aligned, will never work anyway. But this avoids, quote unquote, selling, the second bullet point. You ever, we in our world are actually insulated from the selling process a lot more than we used to be. Okay. You don't run into really, really excellent salespeople like you used to. There's a reason for that, because businesses, believe me, I'm not the first guy to figure all this stuff out. I just got it out of stuff I put together, and lo and behold, it worked. I built a business. But businesses understand that creating what I call a real salesperson, creating that thing is extremely time consuming and takes a lot of money to do that, right? And it's kind of like the Marines. I mean, not everybody that applies, gets through boot camp and ends up being a Marine. Most people can't sell. And I'm talking about the big, selling with a capital S. Most people can't do that. And will never be able to do that. Well, the good news, that's not really the bad news, but the good news is you don't have to. Rafal, did you hear me on this? I haven't had a comment from Rafal recently. I want to make sure that you're hearing me. You do not have to learn to sell with a capital S. The guy or gal in the, suit with all this stuff, the totally buttoned down professional, blah, 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 blah. Rafal, all you got to do is just make sure that you're pitching. The word pitch is an old word for telling somebody about something. But you make sure that you're pitching the right thing to the right people. Okay, so somebody right now. So somebody, now that I've kind of described the selling process to you a little bit, somebody tell me, well, Lee, that means I want you to fill in blank for me. So I said that you need to make sure you're pitching the right thing to the right people. And I want somebody to fill in this blank. Lee, that means I need to spend more time on fill in the blank. So let me repeat that. You need to make sure you're pitching the right thing to the right people. And so you're thinking, Lee, that means I need to spend more time on, we're close. Wayne, bam, you got it. Yeah, I had some good ones. Prospecting, yes, prospecting. Research. Yeah, research. Research is kind of like part of prospecting. Good friend of mine sells LinkedIn stuff, and I was helping her sort of refine her process a little bit. I mean, we're talking about somebody who's a really, really good friend of mine. So we both own different businesses, and we're kind of have walked with each other through this entrepreneurial process for years. And she called me. She's really excited because, I help her with pitches and stuff like that, and funnels and all that salesy stuff. And she called me and she was really excited. She said, Lee, lately our conversion rate has gone way, way up. I said, well, that's good news. Why is your conversion rate going way, way up? And she said, because we finally figured out who to sell to. Yeah. I mean, when you're pitching your product to the right company, it's very much like that guy in the the analogy of the guy with the cold water on July the 4th in the middle of the baseball stadium yelling water, and like suddenly 40 hands go up, right? People want to buy stuff, guys. People want to buy the stuff that you're selling. I don't know if that sentence is true. If you're selling the right things, people want to buy the stuff that you're selling. They're out there. They're ready. The internet marketing is a multi-billion dollar business, right? So they're out there buying stuff. You just need to get yourself aligned with, Matthew, that's a good one. We'll talk about that in a sec. You want to get yourself aligned with what people want to buy. So maybe what you're trying to sell, I mean, if you feel like you're swimming upstream, you need to quit beating up on yourself so much and think, well, I mean, if you hadn't bought my local business client machine product, it's I'll send you the link before the webinar's over. But get that, because I break it down and make it really simple. I mean, super simple. This is not hard, guys. As a matter of fact, and this tickled the daylights out of me. Somebody bought it and hit me up in support and wanted a refund because they said it was too simple. I had agonized over making that thing so simple. I mean, it's the difference between knowing how to do something and being able to teach somebody how to do something. There's a vast difference between that. And I had been doing this stuff for years, and I thought, well, if I could just sit here and just make it like really, really simple, then people can actually do it and make a lot of money and change their lives, which is what happened to me. And I thought that was hilarious. So, I didn't say anything. I just refunded him his money and moved on. I felt like, I'm not a very combative person, but I felt like saying, well, yeah, that was kind of the point. But anyway, so think simple. Think people need to be already wanting okay, think about this. They are already wanting, Mike, just hang on. They're already wanting what you want to buy before your marketing message gets to them. See, that second bullet point, avoid selling. A lot of people think of selling as creating need in the other person, creating desire in the other person. Well, unless you're Voldemort or somebody, I mean, you just can't do that, right? And by the way, Voldemort's not a real person. But you just can't do that. And you think about, use Coca-Cola again. You think about companies like Coca-Cola spend millions upon millions upon millions, tens, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars a year on brand advertising because they are trying to either create or maintain a desire in the heads of people globally. And it costs them that much money to do that. And so you're going to do this. But see, that makes no sense, right? So creating a desire, creating a need is not something that you're going to be able to do. Well, so logically, what does that mean? You got to find the people who already want it. What if they're not a bunch of people who already want it? Well, crap, maybe you're selling the wrong thing. Mike, I focus on websites, email marketing management, press releases, and Google My Business stuff. Now, I do sell some other things, but that's the core of everything. And in my local business client machine, my recent product, I show people how to not only sell those as front-end things, but how to upsell and how to turn that into a monthly income. But those four things right there, I mean, you could just choose one of those things and go with that. I got a good friend that sits around and sells nothing but websites. He sells them. I'm not going to spill the beans and tell you how he does it and to whom or to who he sells it to. But anyway, because, that's kind of like proprietary information. It was a coaching client of mine for a while. But the guy does nothing but sell websites. Makes a really fine living selling websites. He's sold websites for years. Yeah. So why? I mean, money's money, guys. I mean, the last time I looked, $10 that I made selling something easy to sell and $10 that I made something that I thought was really cool but was hard to sell. Last time I looked, that $10 spends the same. So if I want more of those $10 units, maybe I should sell something that's going to be faster and easier to sell. Oh, Janice, thank you so much. This is a great question. Let me see what my other bullet point is. Yeah, we'll get to this in a minute. Matthew. Oh, Matthew, I love having you on webinars. Matthew, I sent you a message on Facebook earlier. I had a bright idea, but anyway. So Janice, you have a phenomenal question. What's the best way to find out what they're thinking about their marketing needs? Thank you so much, Matthew. It feels like keep throwing services at them and finally it will find the right business. Janice, I think your second sentence means that that's how you're doing it right now, is you're just like pitching this and that and that and just trying to find some traction. That's not a horrible way to do stuff. It's a very brutal on yourself way of doing things, right? Well, let me ask you this. Suppose we were in business school and I'm your teacher, all right? And I said, okay, class, you need to find out what this group of people is going to buy. Janice, how would you do that? I mean, just forget the fact that, you know, you run a business, you want to run a business, I don't know where you are in the whole, I don't know how many clients you got, 0, 10, 15, 40 million. I don't know. I don't know you. But I mean, I see the name, but I don't know you in detail, right? So yeah, that may be one way. Janice says sending out a survey. Yeah, that's better than, I kind of like that. Sending it out to, but then you have the issue and sending it out to who are you sending it out to, Janice? So if you send out the survey to a bunch of people that don't know you and they just get a survey in their inbox and they're sitting there eating their lunch and checking their email on their phone and here's a survey from Janice and I have no idea who Janice is. How many people are you going to get to fill out the survey? We're still on this question. I'm trying to elicit answers from you guys. Rafal says, watched all the videos and main program. Gold for you. Awesome. Thank you so much. Need the done for you. Yeah, the done for you kit is, I think, excellent. I mean, guys, I sweat bullets creating this stuff. I mean, I'm not just creating crap to sell. I sit around and actually think. We have beta testers, think about what's going to work. And no more, and Morley, no sugarcoat coaching. Yes, I don't sugarcoat things. If you really want to hit the ground running, guys, you want to take me up on the second upsell, which is my affordable coaching, because and it says on the little sales letter there for the affordable coaching, it's not for the faint of heart, because this is where Lee ceases to be a nice guy. I'm a really nice guy. Matthew's known me for years. Matthew, am I a nice guy or not? I think I'm a really nice guy, but in the coaching, I'm not sure that. I mean, I'm not going to insult you or anything. I'm not an insulting person, but mostly ha. But we are going to get down with how professionals really do things, Rafal, so you want to take a look at that. Yeah, gives you a much clearer path to solving your scared of selling dilemma. Yeah. Karen, thank you so much. I am a really nice guy and I love your coaching. Thank you so much. Yes, Janice, that would be my preferable one. Network meetings. I'll tell you why. I like the survey. Janice, if you don't do anything, do the survey. I'm not trying to talk you out of the survey or anybody else, okay? But I really like network meetings. I really like network meetings. Why, somebody guess as to why I like network meetings so much. Let's say if it were my, let's say if I was a student in the business school class and it was my assignment to go out and find out what these people are going to buy. What do they want to buy? Why would I prefer a network meeting to, and I'm not going to have to go to about 2 or 3 network meetings to figure this out, but why would, or Mike says trade shows, why would I prefer a network meeting or a trade show, either one of those, to a survey? Yeah, Matthew, yeah. Matthew says, because you can be real and speak to people real time. Amen. I get to look at them. I get to shake their hand. I get to look in their eyes. I get to see if they're just BSing me because they want me to go away. Um, I get to see how they're dressed. I get to see how they relate to me. I get to see if their eyes light up, if their eyes don't light up. I get all of that stuff. All of that stuff. Network meetings are great for market research. I was interested in doing a related business, and this was 2 summers ago. I spent a couple of months going to various BNI meetings here in Atlanta. And BNI is like a gold-plated meetup meeting, okay? And the reason I went to various ones is because I didn't want to join yet because I wasn't sure. Joining means spending money, and I wasn't sure if this was going to work. And so I just presented, I had all the goods. I mean, I had a website and all this stuff. I mean, it looked like I knew what I was doing. And I just presented myself as a person selling this thing, and I just kept talking to people about it. In these network meetings, you got to stand up and, give your little elevator speech and all that stuff. And, I gave them a little elevator speech and all that. And I just kept talking to people. And then, I'd meet people and we would go out to Starbucks and have a coffee and just do the whole network meeting thing. And I determined that the thing that I was thinking about getting behind and selling was not going to work. So I spent 2 months saving myself time. But notice what I didn't do. I didn't say, oh, well, Lee can't sell. And I didn't say, well, works for some people, but doesn't me. I didn't become Eeyore. If any of y'all have kids and know about Winnie the Pooh. And my kids are grown now. And the donkey Eeyore, everything's just so, I didn't do that thing, right? I wasn't all depressed about it. I just thought, well, something's wrong. It's the product. It's the way I'm pitching it. Something's wrong, right? And I'm not going to spend my time. I'm not going to spend any more time figuring out what's wrong. I'm just going to continue putting this time on what I currently do. I currently run essentially 2 businesses: my offline business and my info marketing business. And I'm going to put my time back there. And if some other opportunity comes along, then I'll go test it. Okay, I'll go test the waters. Yeah, Mike says, is a network meeting any good if we want to target just one niche? I'm guessing by niche you mean a business type like accountants or something like that. You might want to look in Meetup, Mike, for that, because in Meetup, I don't know if they do this in BNI. Yeah, no, they do this in BNI too. And Mike, it says you're in the UK. I'm not sure where you are in the UK, but it's a fairly populous area. A lot of it's a fairly populous area. Okay, so if you can get to a number of meetings, if you are physically able to get to a number of meetings, I would look at those meetings online, and they will list, especially with BNI, because you can only, with BNI in the United States at least, you can only have one person in one type of business. So you can have one divorce attorney, one business attorney, one CP, public accountant, that kind of thing, right? So, Mike, what I would do is I would just read kind of the roster and pick some meetings where those people are. There you go. Yeah, he says he's got 20 business network meetings in his town. You're good to go. But I would look online and I would read the roster. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you something. It would be very fair and very professional, quite frankly, for you to find whoever the organizer of those meetings are and call each one and say, I'm in such a business. I sell to, let's say, accountant. Mike, I don't know who you sell to, and I don't need to know. I'm just saying, let's suppose it's accountants so I can keep talking, okay? I sell to accountants. How many accountants or people related to accountants or people who would be able to refer me? Because a lot of these businesses, a lot of these meetup things, you're looking at, it's a second tier thing. You're looking for someone to refer you business. I would just ask the person organizing the meeting, how many accountants can I get to through your meeting? Let's say on a monthly basis, more or less, considering the fact that I'm a professional and I'm not screwing around here. And Mike, you're probably not going to say it like that in the UK. Y'all are a little more polite than we are. But you got the idea? Just do your homework. I would look at the roster and call them up and say, and out of 20, unless you're selling to something like vice presidents of large corporations that make parts for jet engines, I mean, there you're kind of screwed. But they're not going to be at network meetings, right? If you're selling to a kind of business that where someone would go to a network meeting in the first place, then I think that would work great. That would work great. Now, let's move on. I've had wonderful. Oliver asked me that at the end. I love that. I love that question. Oh, Mike, you're all over that. Yeah, we're done here. I'm not going to announce your niche out to God and everybody, but we're done here. They're going to be a world of people in they're a whole little constellation of businesses in that general niche, right? There's a world of people, and they're all looking for leads, and they're all looking for businesses, and the ones who are a little more professional are doing things. At least here in the United States, they're going to network meetings. Yeah. So absolutely. Limiting follow-up. This is kind of like something that a guy, for those of you who don't know me, okay, my professional career is weird, okay? I went to college, well, I used to build machinery when I got out of high school, and then I got tired of that, so I went to college. And then I had this brilliant idea that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I ended up as a salesperson for like 15 years. I'm fairly old, okay? So I ended up being a salesperson for like 15 years. And then I had what I call my altruistic phase. And this is a bucket list thing. And I'm really glad I did it. I learned more doing this next thing than I've ever learned about anything in my life. I was a public school mathematics teacher for 10 years. And and well, Matthew, you actually know how old I am. So, and then in 2010, again, if you read the sales letter for Local Business Client Machine, I mean, it's got a little synopsis of my story. In 2010, I quit that and went back to being an entrepreneur. And I have a really wide, and a lot of people do nowadays. I mean, people rarely just hop into one thing and stay there, but I have a really wide area of expertise to draw from. So when I say limiting follow-up, I'm drawing this from 25 years of selling experience, okay? If you, let's say you have a way of prospecting, okay? So network meetings, all right? So let's say you go to 3 network meetings a week, and you do everything right. You got your elevator pitch. You're collecting business cards. You're calling people back. You're being proactive about inviting people to sit down at Starbucks. You're doing the one-on-ones and all that stuff. Hang on a sec. Okay, so you got that whole thing rolling, and in about 2 weeks, it's going to take about 2 or 3 weeks. You're probably going to get a client, okay, within a week or two. You probably get a client, maybe 2, okay, maybe 2. But pretty soon, let me tell you what's going to happen. And you're going to get all excited about that because it is exciting and rightly so. But pretty soon, you're going to get to where you're doing 3 things, which is number 1, managing the business. Number 2, and we're going to talk about how many hats you're wearing. Number 1, managing the business. Number 2, being the salesperson of the business, i.e. the prospecting and the selling. But then you're going to have what I call the glut of follow-up, the glut of follow-up. And let me tell you something. If you are actually doing selling right, you're going to be doing follow-up, and it can easily kill your prospecting and kill your business. Because then you spend so much time following, you're just going around whipping every damn dead horse you can find. I don't know if that's a Southernism or if anybody in the rest of the world understands the concept of whipping a dead horse. It's not a pretty picture. The horse is literally never going to go anywhere, no matter how hard you whip it. I'm almost a vegan, so the idea of whipping a dead horse is actually repulsive to me. But uh, my point is, if you're doing all this follow up, like, I got to call that person back, and I got 15 people to call back today, and I got 5 more people to call back tomorrow, and all that stuff. You're doing that. A lot of those people are never going to buy, ever. Okay. And they're never going to buy because they were never the right people to talk with in the first place. Did y'all get that? They're never going to buy because you probably should not have been talking to them in the first place. Now, I'm not saying you screwed up. I'm just saying that, and a lot of times you don't know. They look good, and then you go talk to them, and they're not good. They're flakes. They can't make a decision. They don't want to make a decision. Most of them are too passive aggressive to ever say the word no anyway. And so then you're screwed. You got all these people you got to follow up with. So if you are preaching to the choir, if you're selling people stuff that they already want to buy, and if your sales process is very simple, and if your presentation, and if you don't have a good presentation, go buy the first upsell to a local business client machine. It's got a killer presentation in it. It's got 4 killer presentations in it. But if your presentation is not to the point, ends with a call to action, are you in, are you out? And then if they're out, they're out, right? If they don't buy, they don't buy. Unless they give you a really, really good reason why they can't buy. But if they, but so many of us, you think you're doing the right thing. Aren't salespeople supposed to call people back? Yeah, except they're supposed to call the right ones back. Okay? They're not supposed to waste their time calling the wrong ones back. So limiting follow-up. So again, this whole thing fits together very nicely. Limiting follow-up. Limiting follow-up, you can spend more time on prospecting. It's the concept of picking the low-hanging fruit. You can pick the low-hanging fruit. You can leave the rest of the stuff for other people to screw around with and not you. And then you can run a tighter business with a lot less work. Does that make sense so far? How about it, guys? Am I making sense? Is this helping any? Is this kind of getting your head straight about some of this stuff? I know this is not the total solution. Yeah, I got it. I understand. I just had a brilliant idea, and I just wanted to throw this out there to sort of like, see, you guys are different from somebody working in a large organization. In a large organization, you got a sales manager, all right, who is not your friend ever. But in a large organization, you got a sales manager. And that sales manager is the person that's sitting there telling you this stuff, although probably not in quite cheery of a way, right? They're basically telling you, if you don't meet quota next month, you're out. And by the way, since you really want to meet your quota, here's how you're going to do it. And then if you got any sense, you go out and do it, because the guy or gal who's your sales manager actually does know what they're talking about. Janice has given me a thumbs up on what I just said about follow-up. Time consuming, absolutely. So let's switch because Rafal gladly said that he was not really keen on selling, and now you know that you don't have to be. And Bill says casting a wider net is the other side of limiting follow-up. Yes, but casting a wider net when you're fishing in waters that have fish. If you're fishing in waters that don't have fish, Bill, you can cast a net all day long. You're not catching anything. That's a great question, Ken. How do you know which ones are not worth following up on? That's kind of a learned skill, but okay. The question is how to limit follow-up. Number one, you can put people in an autoresponder and let your autoresponder do all the 12 points of contact and all that crap. But when you call someone back, okay, so number one, can get a little. The word aggressive is too aggressive, but get a little more aggressive in your sales stance. Okay, so don't think that people are doing you a favor by buying from you. Think that you're doing them a remarkable favor by selling them something that's going to be great for them. Because when you get to the end of your sales pitch, you need to ask them, the way I do a close is I just always ask people, are you ready to get going with this today? Did y'all hear that? Are you ready to get going with this today? One of the greatest closing sentences ever created. I was taught that by someone years ago. And so, Ken, if they start hemming and hawing, like, well, I mean, people, I mean, you can hear it like, well, I need to talk to my partner and, blah, blah, blah. Well, then I'm not saying get an attitude about it, but I'm saying that if you would just like sit up in your seat a little bit, okay, because it's a body thing. Like if you'd sit up in your seat a little bit and say, Karen, may I use you as someone who I'm trying to sell to, but who's sort of like not really, too keen on the process, not really saying yes, or not really giving me an answer as to why not. So Karen, I would say, well, maybe, well, why don't you call me back in a couple of weeks? I would say, well, Karen, sounds like you have some reservations. Could you tell me exactly why you're not moving forward today? And then let them say it. And, if they can't, if that person, if the fictitious Karen can't voice exactly why they're not moving forward today. Lee, the website's going to cost $5,000. I just started the business. I mean, that's my dog. I'm so sorry. Here, he'll calm down in a second. He heard my son walk in the house. But anyway, if they can't really voice that, I mean, if they can't give you a voice, this is exactly what I need to figure out before I do this kind of thing, Ken, then they're screwing around. And they owe you that. They really do owe you that. Okay? If you thought they were wanted to buy, they're using your time, you're telling them important stuff, they owe you that. If they can't say it, so Karen, so why don't you want to buy? Well, I don't know if it's really the right time for us. Well, Karen, that's honestly a little, and you can get a little, my dad taught me this, by the way, you can get a little pushy at this point. So Karen, that's a little abstract. And, another thing that I do is I tell people, I don't want to waste your time. And of course, I don't want to waste my own. That was a polite way of saying, hey, Karen, you're wasting my time. Okay. And then press them for the answer. And Ken, if they don't give you an answer, like, okay, I just started my business and honestly, we're a little short on cash. We really need the website. I want to do it, but it's going to be next month when I get paid from this new project, which people have some ego about money. They might not want to admit that. It's going to be next month before I get paid from this project, before I can pay you the $5,000 for the website. See, that makes sense, Ken. That makes total sense. So with that person, I'd say, super. When do I call you back? Let's make an appointment to call you back. But if you get wishy-washiness, I don't waste time with those people. I mean, you're either in or you're out. If you're out and you have a really good reason, then I'll follow up with you. But if you're out because you're just trying to jerk me around, no way. I got stuff to sell and money to make. So hopefully that makes sense, Kim. Your comfort zone is not your friend. Well, this just kind of goes together, right? Because I'm saying, yes, Karen, I say bye. What do you say at that point? Bye. Yes, I say bye. I'm always extremely polite, but I say bye. Yes. Thank you so much for your time. Once you get this all figured out, give me a call. They will never call you, by the way. So your comfort zone. Let's go over this real quick. We've been on here about an hour. Deeply appreciate your time. I don't want this to drag on and on and on. I'm happy to go over all of this with you, but let's go over this real fast. Your comfort zone is not your friend. I'm asking you to step out of your comfort zone some, going to network meetings, calling people. It is so safe to sit behind a computer and never have to talk to another human being, and there are very, very few people who can pull that off and make money. Very few, but it's very appealing. It's very appealing. I got it. It's kind of like lose weight without ever going to the gym. Maybe there's somebody, or lose weight without ever changing what you eat and going to the gym, right? I mean, or going to the gym, right? I mean, who can do that, right? But yet we have a $1 billion weight loss industry that will sell you a pill and you'll magically lose weight, and those things just don't work, or they don't work for a long time, right? Your comfort zone. This is what I think about your comfort zone. Let's define comfort zone real quick. Somebody tell me what you think I mean by your comfort zone. I just said the word comfort zone about 4 times. What do I mean by your comfort zone? Somebody write that in there. I mean, you don't have to write War and Peace. Netflix, yeah, sure, yeah. So Matthew was being a kind of tongue-in-cheek, but let's just go with that. Where you feel secure. Yeah, Netflix is easy. I love Netflix. I love TV anyway. I'm so old that I call it TV. Your safe spot, place you feel safe. Ooh, I keep seeing this word safe and secure. Things that you're familiar with. Rafal, learning more. Yeah. Range of actions, behavior that you're familiar with. Yep. The telly. So you're safe and secure. You're there. It's warm, comfortable, it's familiar, right? And you've got a certain level of success in the things that you're doing. Sharpening pencils. You've got a certain level of success in the things that you're doing. I'm not saying you're successful. You could be successful. You could not be successful. Mike, buying Warrior Forum courses instead of phoning prospects. Okay, we could stop the webinar right now. Mike just answered the whole thing. But anyway, so yeah, behind the computer, not getting out there making calls or putting yourself in front of people. Amen. And so then we have all these avoidance behaviors, right? Like buying more stuff, sharpening our pencils better. And but the problem is nothing happened to our income. See, nothing happened. Best case, it stayed the same. Worst case, it went down. Nothing happened. Okay. So I always ask people, like in coaching situations, you know, we talked about what's actually in your comfort zone. Are you truly happy in your comfort zone? I'm not talking about do you feel safe? I'm not talking about do you feel secure? Because you can be secure and miserable at the same time. They're like, I'm guessing about 6.5, well, probably more, about 6.9 billion people on the planet who are secure and miserable. Maybe they're not secure, but of the ones of those who are secure, they're fairly miserable. Huh? Yeah, Karen, that's going to be a little difficult. Save that to the end. I'll be happy to talk about that. So, are you truly, I mean, are you fulfilled? Is your life doing what you want it to in your comfort zone? If it is, then why have you spent an hour with me on this webinar, other than the fact that you have nothing better to do? Now, I'm not being, I'm not being silly. I'm just pointing that out, right? So think about that. Where does growth take place? Growth takes place, like when you do the things that you're scared to do. There's growth in your skills, growth in your abilities, growth in your self-esteem. A lot of this stuff is self-esteem issues, guys, which we all have, by the way, and growth in your income. That all takes place when you're doing those things, when you're pushed. I mean, people hire coaches all the time, right? Why do people hire coaches? Why do I need to hire a coach when I can just go to the gym myself? Because I know that if I pay the coach my money, the coach is going to make me do more than I would have done if I'd have gone to the gym all by myself, right? That's why people hire coaches, to give them structure and to push them from the outside. So the point with the comfort zone issue, I think we've already talked about a lot of what's on this last slide. But the point of the comfort zone issue is that it keeps you stuck in the same place. That's fine if you want to be in the same place. Quit fighting it. Just relax, be comfortable. But if you don't want to be in the same place, then just by definition, you got to step out of that comfort zone, which means you got to start learning to do things that you didn't know how to do. Okay? So that's pretty much what I wanted to tell you. I really wanted to hit the selling part hard, which I think we have, and I really wanted to leave you with a lot of ideas about that. Let's drop out of this a second. And let's see where we are here. If you haven't, I can't imagine you're not seeing this, considering that I'm proficient at sending out emails. But if you haven't seen this, you need to take a look at it. It's for sale for a few more days at this price. But you can read, if you want to read more of my story, you can read more of my story right there, and it will tell you all about who I am and what I did. And this is actually when I sat down and wrote my marketing plan. This is actually what I wrote. And it was actually from the book by Mark Joyner, except I forgot that it said, you know, find a thirsty market, and I said sell to the hungry, right? And this is still here. It's still here for you to buy at this price. It will be here for a few more days at this price. I'll pop this link in the chat for anybody who hasn't bought it yet. And just for full disclosure, there are a couple of upsells. And I'll just show you what those are very briefly. It's me at Starbucks. And me at Starbucks again. Hang on a sec. So, and these are currently at the lowest prices they will be at. But I like these done for you packages because I can give you stuff that's written by me. Okay, I am a remarkably experienced copywriter. Okay, copywriting means I sell stuff in print. All right, so this is not just some PLR crap that we bought and just decided to pass on to you. Okay, yeah. Rafal says, already said, lots of good nuggets, especially specific scripts, talking points. But you get everything that you need to get rolling with this. Squeeze pages, all this stuff. I'm not going to kill you with looking at this. Email swipes, all of that. And then if you really want to, if you're ready to get out of your comfort zone and you're ready to if you would specifically like to learn the skill of getting a new client within 48 hours. Did you hear me? Learn the skill of getting a new client within 48 hours. Then this affordable coaching is for you. All right. It's going to be out of your comfort zone. I'm going to mispronounce your name. I think it's probably pronounced Aka. I think maybe. I'm not sure, but anyway, yeah, hit me up in support. We'll make that happen for you. But if you want to really learn the skill, I can do that. I mean, I just do that all the time, right? If you really want to learn that skill, this is what you need, okay? And this stuff is all very affordable. $67 for coaching with me. That's very affordable. It's group coaching, it's webinar coaching. Everything's recorded. It'll all be in the in a members area for it, et cetera, et cetera. But you can read what this is about. Secret weapon I pull out every time I need business. I mean, this just absolutely true. 2 webinars on that, and then integrate this new skill that you're going to be building with what you learned in Local Business Client Machine. So, small commercial break. This is all still there for you if you haven't bought it yet, and I just put the link there in the chat. So let's spend a couple more minutes and see if we have any other important questions. Karen, you have a great question. Hang on. Wayne, I'll get to you next. I think you had a good question too. Hold on a second, guys. Karen, how effective is email marketing? Does it work to a cold market? It's extremely effective if you know how to do it right. I will tell you that the number of emails that you need to send out are huge. Okay, huge. So another friend of mine sells stuff via webinars. They sent out 20,000 emails, cold emails. And then nothing spammy or illegal here. I mean, it's all on the up and up. Sent out 20,000, got 200 people on a webinar. This was a high-end product, sold several. And I'm not worried about how many they sell because, Karen, you're selling something different. But I'm talking about how many people clicked through and actually did something intelligent, like sign up to a list. 200 out of 20,000, what's that, 1%? That's about right. That's what you can expect. Okay. Uh, yeah, Wayne, no custom jobs? Oh God, yes. I learned that the hard way. God, this is one of those things I had to learn over and over and over again because, clients would keep asking me to do stuff and I would say yes because they were dangling money in front of my nose. That is a way to keep your business small, though. I mean, I used to do custom websites, no more. So it's either, look, Wayne, Henry Ford is the guy who invented this whole concept. When he invented the Model T and they started selling, mass producing cars, he said, yeah, you can have any color you want as long as it's black. They were all black. You can choose colors, all right? So, um, the point being, I would rather do more prospecting and talk to and do a few more sales presentations and get some cookie cutter clients than have somebody where I've got to like stop the whole show, right? I mean, I got to we're talking about a one person business because most of y'all are at the level of one person business. One person, maybe one person, an outsourcer too. It's still pretty much a one man show or one woman show. But I'd have to stop the whole show and redo all this stuff and, do all this stuff and, blah, blah, blah. There's no economy of scale here, right? See, Wayne, that's why I say no custom jobs. I learned to detest custom jobs. It's a great way to make some good money up front. It's also a great way to not grow your business and not get it streamlined. I mean, you really want a business that's streamlined to where you say I or we do X amount of prospecting, we get Y number of clients, we do Z number. I'm running out of letters. We do Z number of presentations, we make A number of sales, and we make B number of dollars. That you want to get it down to a mindless science, and custom jobs are not a mindless science. Okay. If I was a home builder, I would not be the guy selling the $2 million custom homes. I would be the guy selling the $250,000 tract homes. Okay. Mike says, if I manage to discipline myself to having all my clients in one niche and outsourcing all fulfillment, and I employed a project manager and 3 salespeople, and I work 4 hours a day, what's your best guess for how many clients we would be able to service well? A project manager and 3 salespeople. I'm not quite sure what you're doing in this operation, Mike, but that kind of goes back to what Wayne was talking about, no custom jobs. I mean, if it's kind of like, here is a website with a bunch of links, and each link takes you to one of 20 different websites. And on all of them, we will make you a logo that's going to look more or less like this. And it's going to have 5 pages. It's going to have an about page and a static home page and a blah, 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 and a blah, blah, blah. I mean, if you did it like that, you'd be able to service a lot more than if you had to sit down and actually screw around with, well, what do you want on your website? Do you want this over here? Do you want that over there? Like that kind of stuff. So a little hard to answer, but you're going to get a lot more. The less custom work you do, the more streamlined you're going to get, the more clients you're going to have. And Mike, here's the deal: as you move these people up into a monthly service, all right, that needs to be cookie cutter also. In other words, it's like, here's the deal: either buy it or don't, right? But if it's cookie cutter, then you can, in terms of your outsourcer, you can have an outsourcer run the whole thing for you. If it's not cookie cutter, you can't. Wayne, that's another reason why no custom work is because Lee, I have to do it. Somebody intelligent has to do it. And I'm not saying other people aren't intelligent. I mean, somebody who really cares about the business has to do it. I can't just hire it out. Janice, I'm not sure what that is. I have all 3. If I am in training, is that through support? Yeah, Janice, I can't really do one-on-one coaching. I mean, I could. I'd have to charge you a lot of money for it. But if you have a short question, let me know in support. Diana, I think we're closing this off on, I mean, it'll be open, but at a higher price. And I think we're closing this off on the 16th. Okay. So Diana, the 16th. Let's see what else we got. Matthew, Yep. Thank you. That's a great. Matthew says, take the links to these and put these in the chat. Yeah, y'all can take a look at those. That will let you see all three. So what we call the front end product, the first one that you see, and the two OTOs. And by the way, this is not one of those deals where you need the OTOs in order to make the front end product work. I don't do that. That's not right. LLC, Ken. Yeah, Karen wants to know what my thoughts about what to do if I'm not able to get out to network meetings. Apparently, Karen lives out in the middle of nowhere, no transportation. Well, then you're stuck with the phone and social media, right? Which is not a bad thing to be stuck with. I personally, I know most people hate it, but I personally love the phone. Okay. And Rafal says LinkedIn. Amen to that. I mean, Karen, you probably bought some of my LinkedIn stuff. I think it's pretty good. And I mean, you can, if you intelligently do it, you can build an entire business through LinkedIn. Okay, so you just can't go to a ton of network meetings. That's the only problem with you, and that's fine. You know, some of the greatest companies in the world have been built through the phone. Just get on the phone and start calling people. Uh, yeah, Rafal, you can outsource custom websites, but the thing is, you know, you've got then you have to manage the communication. You have to manage the. I thought you meant this and that, and then your buyer thinks that they can change crap anyway. See, that's the thing I want to avoid. I don't want people thinking they can change stuff. They think they can change it. Okay. Well, you know, I was looking at this other website and blah 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 blah. And they, no, and we're 2 days from the due date. No, I'm sorry. Okay, well, we can do a change order. It's going to take 2 more weeks to get you this, and I'm going to have to I'm going to have to charge you $500 for changing. Yeah, $500 to move one thing. You know, that I don't want to be in that position. Mike says, I haven't sold before. This is like one of the most greatest questions ever. Should I make sales before I hire a salesperson? Amen. Yes, always. Don't hire a salesperson before you know how to sell. Otherwise, you're probably going to end up hiring somebody who doesn't know how to sell, and you won't know why. You won't know what's broken. Frankly, you won't know if it's the sales process or the person. Okay, Mike, selling is one of those things that it's one of the last things that that you need to outsource. And really, honestly, you know, the top executives of corporations, they are all salespeople, and they're very aware of that. Okay, so sales is not something that you give up. Sales is a thing that you need to keep. As a matter of fact, what you need to do, Mike, you need to think about it like this. Mike is the CEO of the business. Okay, well, it's a small business, so that's not a hard job. Mike is the salesperson for the business, right? And then the outsources do all the fulfillment and all the crap. That's the way you need to think about it, because quite frankly, you get the fulfillment thing figured out. Again, Wayne, this is why I'm saying no custom work, okay? Because if I do custom work, then since somebody besides me is doing it, right? Then I got more communication with them instead of you do X, Y, Z, get it done, give it back to me, I give it to the client. That's the way you want it. So yeah, Mike, Mike, if you're selling the right thing to the right people, then you don't need to worry about being a quote unquote hotshot salesperson. You just say, hi, you're in the middle of the ball game. It's only about 97 degrees out and the sun's right over your head. Would you like to buy some water from me for $5? Yes, matter of fact, I would like two. Okay. That's how selling needs to go when you're doing it right. Cool beans, guys. Been on here about an hour and a half. I told you it's going to be a pretty quick webinar. Apparently it wasn't. I apologize for that. I like things. I'm happy to answer your questions and to make sure that you stay focused on this. Mike, not afraid to sell, just limited time available. Mike, this argues for the fact that you need to absolutely focus on selling the right things to the right people. Okay? And Mike, upselling to, now think about this guy. Let, let, let me leave you with this as the last thing, because Mike has some wonderful, wonderful comments, questions, whatever you want to call them. How much money do y'all need? Okay, I mean, I know how much money I need. It's unfortunately a little bit more than the average person, but I don't know how much money y'all need. But think about how much money you need. And let's say that every recurring income client you got, I'm talking about per month. How much money do you need to run your life the way you want to per month? I mean, realistically, okay? So Rafal says $10,000, and that's a pretty good number. Well, guys, if you got clients paying you just $1,000 a month, and in local business client machine, all the upsells are at least worth that. I mean, the upsells that you would be doing. I'm not talking about the other two upsells you see, the upsells that you would be doing, right? Yeah, Matthew just did the math. You need 10 to 20 clients. Or if you get really good at upselling people to services that they need and charging them for them, and actually charging what you're worth instead of charging bargain basement prices, you're going to need somewhere between 7 and about 14 clients. So, Mike, in other words, my point is, buddy, put your time on selling, on making sales, and then be spending, as I teach in local business client machine, be spending that time on upselling those one-off clients, be spending that time on upselling those one-off clients to a monthly thing. And then, Mike, you got 15 people. That's not going to take a lot of sales time. Yeah, it's going to take some patience, but I don't see why you couldn't do that in 6 months or a year. So what would you have in 6 months for a year? You'd be sitting there with $150,000 a year income with you just managing a business, right? Just managing. You're not selling anymore. You're just managing, Mike. I hope this excites you guys, because this is the way that I want you thinking. And then what happens? So, I mean, people do drop out, clients say they get enough, they got enough business, they're doing something else. They got some other genius idea, right? So then somebody drops out, so now you're down to 14 instead of 15, but man, I'm really liking that extra 1,500 bucks or $2,000 a month I had from that client. So what do? Well, you just go get another freaking 5 clients so that you can upsell one of them to a monthly thing. Basically, it's a 2-tiered thing. You're getting paid for your prospecting to build a monthly recurring business, because that's really what you want. Thank you, Wayne. Wayne says the way I showed how each of those services could be a recurring model was beautiful and simple. Thank you so much. The goal was to make it is simple, guys, when you do it right. Figuring it out is not simple. That took years, but it is simple when you do it right. So that, Mike, is the answer to your question. You don't need that much time to sell. You just need to get focused on the right target. And the right target is, guys, it's going to be hard as hell for you to make a really good living just selling one-offs. A one-off is a client buys one thing from me and they're gone. That's a one-off. That's going to be really hard. That's going to be exhausting. I've done that, and it's going to be exhausting. Really, what you want to do is you want to look at the one-offs as another level of prospecting. Yeah, you're making money, but it's another level of prospecting so that your final goal is the monthly recurring. And so, Mike, even with limited time, you can do that if you keep your eye on the ball and don't get distracted. You got it? Cool beans, guys. Thank you so much. This was recorded. I'm going to stop the recording now. And Aka called me young man. I'm not sure if I qualify for young anymore. Yep, Janice, you're most welcome. You're most welcome. I appreciate your teaching us to look at the services that the prospect understands and not what's in the toolbox. Amen. That was Rafal. I was 53 in 2010, so now you can do some math and figure out how old I actually am. But yeah, it could happen. It could happen. Who knows? Yeah, Oliver, just hit me up in support, okay? And it's I don't have. Well, yeah, it should be at the bottom of. It should be at the bottom of all of these pages somewhere. I got to move around some boxes right there. Just go to support right there. That will take you to the help desk. Just pop in a support ticket. We got you. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. I'll put this on something, mail it out to you if you would like to keep up with it and look at it again. I'll also put it up on. Tell me about it. Rafael says Arnold and Sly are both older than me. A lot older, absolutely. But I'm better looking, so there. That's not true. But anyway, so I'll put this up on YouTube, and it can all be there for you. Thank you so much, guys. And just do this. Do this. Don't just listen to stuff. Do this. Okay. See you later and talk to you soon.